You're listening to Beyond Wellness Radio, bringing you the cutting edge in health, biohacking, and sports performance. Stay up to date and listen anywhere and anytime on your computer, tablet, or smartphone by subscribing on iTunes. Catch your host, Dr. Justin Marchegiani, as he answers your burning health questions as well as interviews from world-renowned guest experts. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.
Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio. Feel free and head over to beyondwellnessradio.com where you can access our full podcast transcriptions. While you're there, you can also sign up for our thyroid and female hormone video series. This series goes into the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance. While you're there, you can also schedule a functional medicine consult with Dr. Justin, myself, where we'll dig deeper into the root cause of your health challenges. Feel free and think of sharing this podcast with at least one person. This podcast grows by people sharing it. Sharing is caring. If you can think of one person that can benefit from this information, please feel free and share it. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. You can also click below the video or podcast where you'll see the iTunes review button and leave us a review. You can also sign up for the newsletter at beyondwellnessradio.com where you'll get updates before anyone else. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. Welcome back to Beyond Wellness Radio. Evan Brand, how we doing, my friend? How was your weekend?
Hey man, weekend was good. People are probably like, I'm listening on a Wednesday. Why are you talking about your weekend? But hey, look, this is our Monday. So we're having fun and soaking up the sun. I've got a bunch of bites on my legs. Like my legs are itching. I need some recommendations for itch cream for my legs, like maybe some aloe or something.
Dude, all you need for that, man, is you just need some like $1 rubbing alcohol to get at the drugstore. Take a little bit of that in a cotton ball and just rub it right on the bite. Gone.
I'm going to try it. I think I've got some rubbing alcohol. No, I may have hydrogen peroxide. I'll have to get some. I'll get some rubbing alcohol and report back. I don't think it's mosquitoes. I haven't seen any mosquitoes yet, but I know they're out there.
Yeah, it could be just some kind of other little pest out there that's giving you some bites. A little bit of rubbing alcohol, you're good, man.
Cool. Well, you came up with a good topic idea today of minerals, which I thought was cool because I had mentioned another topic, which was kind of like, okay, I've been doing a lot of yard work and I think dehydration is a common issue for people. We kind of skipped over spring, like we're straight into summer here. So it's been 90 degrees and above Fahrenheit. It's been crazy hot for Kentucky in May. And I've been doing some work outside and then I come in and I throw together a bunch of little tinctures and potions and powders. And I thought, man, how many other people are dealing with mineral issues? And you're like, hey, let's, maybe we tie it into the seasons like summertime, but why don't we tie it into general minerals and what can happen? And I thought that was a genius idea because previously, and I think we discussed it a bit on the podcast, maybe not, but like starting in February, I was having those random blood pressure spikes. And you and I started talking about this whole adrenal, mineral, blood pressure, kind of blood sugar stuff. And I think that's cool. So why don't you lead us off? How should we dive into this topic?
So I think minerals are really important, right? Because they help kind of your nervous system work, right? You need minerals to allow action potential and for that nervous system to work. So we need primarily, to keep it simple, we need sodium, we need potassium, we need magnesium, we need chloride, and we need I think I hit them all. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, calcium. Those are your big five, right? And these help action potentials. They help your cell repolarize and depolarize, which is really important for any type of contraction. They help your muscles work. Sodium and potassium help kind of your cell communicate so we can have the cells working and communicating properly. So we need healthy levels of minerals to function. Helps regulate blood pressure, mood, help regulate your nervous system function. Like for instance, your adrenals need healthy levels of sodium and potassium for your nervous system to work. The more stressed you are, you actually pee out minerals because the more stressed you are, you create inflammation and acidity, and your body has to use minerals to buffer a lot of that inflammation. So you'll dump a lot of potassium and such if you get stressed, or even sodium if you get stressed. So the more stress will actually buffer the acidity, but the problem is your nervous system and in your cardiovascular system and your heart and your muscles and your cells need these minerals. So the more stressed you are, you can actually lose a lot of these minerals, and that can create problems for your muscles, for your body's ability to generate energy, for your cells to communicate, for your nervous system to do a good job. So it's important that, number one, we're getting adequate minerals in our body through our foods, that we're drinking water that actually supports minerals. So I like drinking my Topo Chico. Again, it's kind of this in thing. If you're down here in Texas, it's a great little mineral water. It's got a good kick. It gets you here. It gets you
Where
right
do they source it? Is that like a well, or what is that?
I don't know. It's in Monterrey, Mexico. I'm just a huge fan of the flavor and the taste. I know it's good quality mineral water from what I've seen online and such. I also have a whole house water filtration system with the reverse osmosis for the countertop, and I have a trace mineral support there. So I'll do a squirt or two in the morning and the afternoon with my water there. So I get extra minerals during the day. And then I also make sure we get enough, potassium and magnesium are the big ones, right? Sodium I get from the sea salt. Potassium I get from some of my extra supplementation, as well as, green veggies, avocado, some of my squash and sweet potato, and then some of my fish. So I really try to get enough of those minerals in those foods. And we can talk more about that in a minute. But minerals are really important for the nervous system to buffer stress and inflammation, for your heart, for your muscles, and for your cells to communicate. That's called the sodium potassium pump.
I would think that most people forget that the heart is a muscle, but if you do have, and many of you listening probably do, if you've had issues yourself with your heart, or you've had issues in your family with heart issues, you're going to get probably some potassium IV, maybe some other type of minerals via IV. Like if you're at the emergency room and you thought you had a heart attack, or you've got like atrial fibrillation, or you have arrhythmias of some sort, there's a lot of these heart issues that can be functionally treated. And our good friend, Dr. Jack Wolfson, the paleocardiologist, he talks a lot about that when you and I chat with him about minerals and how many people end up on these heart drugs, beta blockers and heart rhythm drugs and other problems. And it's really a mineral problem, or it's some type of a dietary problem. Like they have MSG which is causing AFib. You can, believe it or not, you can have a heart issue or a heart symptom from something like monosodium glutamate, MSG, which still does exist, even though a lot of products are going no MSG. It does still exist out there, and there's a lot of hidden names like maltodextrin that could actually be MSG. So got to get your minerals right, make sure the diet's dialed in, make sure you don't have anything affecting the heart, and don't forget, if you just drink a bunch of water, but as you mentioned, you don't have the dietary stuff, or you're a vegetarian or a vegan who's just doing a bunch of like spinach and kale, and you're not getting your avocados. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I thought pumpkin was a good potassium source too.
It is pumpkin and squash too. Yes.
Is it? Okay. And then sweet potato, you mentioned that one. And then you mentioned fish. So those are all good. I'm drinking some electrolytes right now, and I added in some different tinctures too. I added some Shijandra tincture, some ashwagandha tincture. So I'm feeling really good. Cheers.
Oh, you too, man. Absolutely. Now, just real quick with the sodium potassium pump is we have essentially sodium on the inside of the cell and then potassium on the outside of the cell. And then what happens is a gradient where they kind of switch. I think it's three of the potassium go in, 2 of the sodium go out. It could be reversed, but that's just how, number one, the cells work and communicate. And that's how action, potential, and the nervous system and all these things work. That's why there's conditions known as hyponatremia, which is hypo, low, natremia means minerals, or a lot of times can be sodium in particular. When people around marathon time drink too much water, they can dilute their minerals. It was a big thing. It was like, I think they called it Wii for a Wii. It was like whoever drinks the most water without peeing wins the Nintendo Wii. And this girl, I think, drank 6 gallons of water and she died. Right? Because she developed hyponatremia because she diluted all those minerals down. Now the cell can't communicate.
So what happened? A heart attack or something, or what? What happens from over diluting your minerals like that?
Yeah, it's going to be cardiac arrest, right? Because the heart's not going to be able to work. So yeah, so I was correct the first time. Inside the cell, right? Sodium. Outside the cell, potassium. 2 potassium go in, 3 sodium go out. So it kind of plays this little switcherooski.
Okay, so let's chat about, it does. Let's chat about the adrenals in that context then. So you brought up marathon. So let's talk about this. That's an extreme adrenal stress. Mark Sisson, notoriously was a long distance runner and said, he basically almost killed himself doing that, and really does not push people towards marathons, really pushes people towards like sprinting and high intensity interval training and playing Frisbee, which I think is cool. And not marathons. And a lot of clients that have come to you and I, they're wanting to train for marathons. And I just tell people the blunt truth, which is like, hey, look, I'm not really going to encourage you to do this. I guess if you're paying me to do it, I'm going to support you the best I can. But just know that running 26 miles is probably not the best thing for your health. But just talk us through what's going on from an adrenal perspective. I guess the kidneys are doing something too. Are the kidneys responsible for dumping some of these minerals, or is it adrenals burning them up, or is it all of it?
So there's a natural sodium potassium kind of ratio that happens. So as your adrenals get more stressed, there's a hormone inside the adrenal glands, right, called aldosterone. And like in doctorate school, when you're learning about the function of the adrenal glands, it's like this. It's sugar, salt, sex. The deeper in you get, the better it gets. That's how you remember the adrenal gland function. So the outside part of the adrenal glands, sugar, that's the cortisol portion of the adrenal gland that regulates blood sugar. Okay. The inner part, it regulates salt. That's the mineral corticoids, aldosterone. And then the very inside is the sex hormones. That's the DHEA and such. So sugar, salt, sex. So cortisol, mineral corticoid, aldosterone, which helps regulate minerals. That's what we're talking about here. And then the sex hormones. So the reason why it's important is because the more you whip the adrenal glands, the more stress that you're under, which long-term exercise is a stress. You're going to deplete the sex hormones, which make it harder for you to repair and recover and heal. And then number two, stress on the adrenals makes you pee out more of the minerals. So you'll pee out a lot of the sodium, and that's going to that can cause potassium to go up. But over time, potassium can drop out too with chronic stress, because your kidneys and your body can use that to buffer a lot of inflammation. So you'll pee out a lot of that. Plus, a lot of people, they just aren't getting enough of it in their diet, right? Yep. You need 4,700 milligrams of potassium a day. So what does that mean? So if you go to justinhealth.com/chronometer or chronometer, whoever you pronounce it, CRONO meter, METER, and you sign in, it's a free account. You can then just plug your foods in. Excuse me.
He's got that frog in the throat coming back.
Yeah, little frog in the throat. It attacked me. It got me. So you just put your foods in there for a simple day. And what you'll find is at the bottom, it'll tell you your macronutrients, your protein, fat, and your carb percentage. It'll tell you your micronutrients too, which it'll walk you through your sodiums, your potassium, your minerals, your vitamins. And you want 4,700 milligrams of potassium per day.
That's a lot. I guarantee
it's a lot.
98% of people listening, if they do that, they're going to see that they're too low. It's fun. Like, it's kind of a pain to track everything, but I think you guys listening should do this at least for a few days. Track your typical day, because we all get in the habit of eating the same thing over and over again, our same menu Monday through Friday or whatever. So you're probably eating the same food. So it should be easy maybe to even start doing this from memory. Log in and look at it. I bet you're going to be low, most people.
Totally. So you need about 4,700 milligrams of potassium a day. You're going to typically need about 3,400 of sodium and chloride. Now, that's easier to get because typically even junk food has sodium and chloride in it, right? Table salt is sodium chloride, right? Na and then Cl. So even people that are on junky food diets tend to get enough sodium. They may not get good quality sodium. So if you look at Dr. Brownstein's book called Salt Your Way Back to Health, he talks about getting good quality sea salt, whether it's a Himalayan sea salt or whether it's, I like Redmond's real salt because it tastes really good too. And there's about 70 something minerals in it. So I like that. So you're getting good quality sodium, good quality chloride, but we also need the potassium, right? About 4,700 milligrams a day. What does that mean? Okay. You're going to get about a gram per avocado. Okay. So one avocado gets you almost 25% of the way there. And then you want about 5 or 6 servings of green vegetables. So I'll do like a green drink. I'm going to have it in a little bit. I got a Thyroid Reset Summit interview, which I'm excited about in about 20 minutes. Go to thyroidresetsummit.com to sign up. It'll be this fall. But I'm going to get a green drink that's going to have 7 servings of vegetables. It'll have about 1,200 milligrams of potassium. So I have 1 avocado already, and then I'll do 1 green drink. Now I'm already half my potassium for the day. And then if I do a nice 2 or 3 servings at lunch of green veggies, and then another 2 servings at dinner, I'm good, right? I'm good. Yep. You can also supplement with potassium chloride. There's a salt called Nu Salt, NU-salt. And that's a potassium chloride salt. So you can salt your food with that, and that can get you over the top as well. I also use a couple of electrolyte support products by my sink. That is, there's two, I think they're the same product. I use Endure by Trace Mineral Research. And I also use one called Light Show, which is almost the same ingredient structure. I think they probably private label it. So I like those products by Trace Minerals and Light Show. There's some really good mineral ones. I use the real salt in my water, and the potassium chloride new salt doesn't taste as good. So I'll typically do that on my food.
That's cool. I'm doing Ben Lynch's electrolytes. Pretty good.
Yep, that's a good one. I've seen that.
It doesn't have vitamin C. A couple other brands that you and I use. There's a couple professional brands that make electrolytes. Some of them have vitamin C in there, and because of my iron being way too high, vitamin C increases absorption of iron. It's the last thing I want to be supplementing, so I'm doing all electrolytes with no vitamin C added for right now until I get that under control.
Yeah, and if it's a small amount, like a couple 100 milligrams, probably not.
It's like 2,000. It's like almost 2 grams.
That's a lot. 2 grams. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then, so in the Trace Mineral Support product, there's magnesium, there's chloride, there's potassium, there's sodium, and there's calcium.
Do you do this stuff on the weekends? Like
and sulfur.
People probably hear you talking about being out on the boat and going skiing. I mean, you're doing some pretty intense physical stuff. Are you traveling and bringing that with you, or are you not really worried about it because you do it so much during the week that you're pretty stocked up on minerals?
I mean, I bring my Topo Chicos out there.
Okay.
You know, I bring my Topo Chicos or my LaCroix out there. And again, on the boat, you're really only going to have an issue if you're sweating a lot and you're drinking alcohol. You drink a lot of alcohol, you're going to pee out a whole bunch of minerals. Why? Because alcohol inhibits your antidiuretic hormone. So it's like in school, I had to play these games to like remember these things, right? So antidiuretic hormone, it's the anti-pee hormone, right? If a diuretic makes you pee and you're anti-peeing, so if you inhibit the anti-pee hormone, that means you pee. Does that make sense?
I'm just visualizing it like a big barrel, and the barrel is the bladder, and then the cork at the bottom of the barrel is the antidiuretic hormone, and then the alcohol pulls out the cork, and then there you go.
Bingo. So you inhibit the anti-pee hormone, that means you pee. So if you drink alcohol, you inhibit the antidiuretic hormone, meaning you pee more and you lose more minerals. And then obviously alcohol tends to be more inflammatory in nature. So then you're going to buffer minerals as well. So my rule of thumb is if you're going to drink, the best thing to do is activated charcoal. Boom, boom, boom. Activated charcoal. And you do 1 mineral drink in between each alcoholic drink. Do that, you're pretty much golden. Now, if you want to get like fancy pants on it, you can also add in some sulfur amino acids, some vitamin C, some glutathione, some NAC afterwards. If you really want to do really good, or some milk thistle, those are all great alternatives afterwards to keep your minerals adequate. So going back, right, we talked about the 3,400 milligrams of sodium kind of chloride thing. Potassium's the harder one. That's the 4,700 milligrams. Magnesium's also pretty hard too, because you burn that up with stress, and the more sugar you eat, you burn it up too. That's about 1,000 milligrams a day. And then your calcium's about 1,200 milligrams a day. And then chloride tends to be connected with the sodium there.
I know we've got a couple minutes, so let's talk about something I think I mentioned off air, but we haven't mentioned on air yet, which is blood pressure. And people may be listening to all this mineral talk, and then they're like, okay, well, how does this actually apply to my actual day-to-day life in terms of health? I talked about the heart function a bit in terms of like atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter, some of these other more functional heart issues that can lead to bigger issues down the road if you don't fix it. That could be affected by minerals. Also blood pressure though. So like back in February, I had a lot of stress going on. I was doing a bunch of interviews from my summits, running the clinic 4 days a week, doing podcasts, all sorts of crazy stuff, dealing with the baby, getting woke up during the night, not sleeping as well because of the baby and other things. And I believe that what you and I discussed was probably accurate. The adrenal stress was causing me to dump minerals. Me losing my minerals caused my blood pressure to go up. So why don't you just take that little bit of a tangent and go a little bit further with it? Because I think this is important for people to understand. It's not a deficiency of blood pressure medication and why their blood pressure is a bit high.
So a couple things. Inflammation, whether it's inflammation from your sympathetic nervous system going into overdrive, will create your sympathetic nervous system to respond with adrenaline. Adrenaline tends to cause constriction, okay? Think about why. Where do we want the blood flow to go from a prehistoric evolution kind of perspective? Where do we want the blood flow? We want the blood flow to go to the arms, the hands, and the feet to run, fight, and flee. Okay. Think about it if you're in your like backyard, like before you had like the little nozzle to put on your hose where you squeeze it and the water comes out. Let's say there's no nozzle on the end. There's just the water coming out. What do you do to reach the back part of your yard? Yeah. You take your thumb, you put it over the water hose. Why? What are you doing? You're cutting off the flow. And what happens to the water? You're increasing pressure, and that allows the water to go where? Further out. So think about it. If your body is primed to get the blood to the extremities, that's like you putting your thumb over the water hose to reach the outer part of your yard. So you're basically, your body is doing that to get the blood to the outer parts of the extremities, right? So number one, the first thing we do is we decrease the root cause of the stress. That then takes away the adrenal stimulation, which then takes your thumb off the hose. And then number two, we give extra things to support it, because during that stress response, we pee out minerals, the sodium, the chloride, and then eventually the potassium and the magnesium during stress, because stress is inherently has inflammatory byproducts of it, which aren't necessarily bad, but there's a price to pay for it. And if our diet's poor, then we're using up minerals to basically pay this stress debt, right? So the goal is we want to make sure at least our diet is super nutrient dense. So if we're under stress, we at least have more coming in that we're spending, right? So adrenal stress under control, extra supplemental minerals. And if you're under more stress, that's where the diet has to be good. And ideally, we have good supplementation on board too. So we have extra bioavailable chelated minerals. Like in our lines, we use a lot of the magnesium malate or the magnesium glycinate, which are magnesium's bound to amino acids for better absorption. Same with calcium dimalate. Same with sodium. We may use the real salt, or if we're using extra potassium, we may do the electrolyte support or the new salt. So there's a lot of things we may do to help supplement on top of a really great diet. And you'll see anyone listening to this podcast, go to Chronometer and run your food through Chronometer for a sample day. You're going to see it's pretty hard to get that potassium up there. It's difficult.
Yeah. I had two more cents to add about the stress piece, is that anyone listening and they say, oh, Dr. J, I'm not stressed. It's like, okay, look, it doesn't have to be just emotional, like job, relationship stress. This could be gut infections. This could be parasites like I had, H. pylori like I dealt with, bacterial overgrowth. This could be candida. This could be sleep issues. I mean, this doesn't, when we say stress, I mean, that is such a big term, and I think people blow it off because like, no, I'm not stressed. That doesn't apply to me. It could. You could have a super chilled out life, live in the middle of the woods, and have gut bugs, and that stress creates all these problems we're talking about.
That's the hidden stress we're talking about. And then remember, it's not just the stress of the gut bugs. The gut bugs are also going to create a malabsorption where you may not absorb those minerals fully because it's affecting your motility or the absorption component, right? Some of those minerals may even get eaten up by these bugs. I know iron's one of the ones that a lot of bugs like as well. So it's possible the bugs could be eating up those minerals, or you're just malabsorbing them and they're going out in the stool. Because a lot of times these minerals, some need hydrochloric acid to be ionized so they can get into your bloodstream so they can actually be utilized.
Yep. So if the diet's perfect, you've been following a good paleo template and you're still not getting results, well, you got to look deeper into the gut, get those functional tests done. Because if you have an H. pylori infection, reducing stomach acid, as Justin mentioned, now you can't manufacture everything you need to from your food. So it's not about what you eat, it's about what you digest from what you eat. And I think that's a good way to wrap this thing up. So get the testing done. Make sure you monitor using Chronometer your food for a few days, check out where you're at, and get some of the testing. Look into the organic acids panel. We can measure some of your nutrients and vitamins on there. Vitamin C, B is in Bravo. We can look into some of that. Can't do minerals there, but we can make a lot of inferences when we look at your amino acids. Okay, look, we see malabsorption. We're assuming based on symptoms, probably minerals can be affected. And then get the stool test run. We always run a comprehensive stool panel. Make sure you look for the gut infections, and then always look for adrenal stress. We always run adrenal profiles because there are many different variations of adrenal stress that can happen, and that all depletes minerals. That ties right into this conversation. So get those functional 3, we call them. That's what I call them. Get those functional 3 done, and then you're going to be in good shape. If you work with us, awesome. If you work with somebody else, cool. Just make sure they know what they're doing. If you want to reach out to Justin for a consult, check him out. Justin Health. That's such a clever name. JustinHealth.com. Reach out to Justin. If you want to reach out to me, you can check out my site. It's Evan, EVAN, brand, like brand name, evanbrand.com. And we're both here for you. We're happy to help you all.
Excellent. And then just to kind of reiterate here, a couple things. Couple people wrote in the questions here, is it possible to get enough potassium doing keto? Yeah. I mean, you have to do about 6 or 7 green vegetable servings a day. So like, let's say a palm serving is 1 serving. So every meal you should strive for at least 2 servings. Number 1. Number 2, that'll, good potassium. Avocados is going to be an amazing potassium source. So good 1 full avocado, maybe even 2, but definitely 1 full one. And 6 servings of green veggies. If you're going low on the green veggies, get a 2nd full avocado in a day. I'm fine with that. And then, of course, some fish tend to be really good. And then you can always do the new salt to fill in the gaps there too. I think that's a really good starting place there. And also, if you have low cortisol levels, remember, low cortisol, you probably also have low aldosterone levels too. Now, one of the things we do when we see chronically low cortisol, we give licorice. We give sublingual licorice because licorice actually mimics the mineral corticoids and will help you hold on to those minerals longer. Now, the only contraindication is high blood pressure. So as long as your blood pressure isn't elevated, we would recommend some licorice with low cortisol levels. And again, we would have to run an adrenal test to know that, but that can be helpful because it mimics those mineral corticoids and helps you hold on to those minerals too.
Yep. Well said. Your fish, don't forget about like salmon's a good one too. Another food. Yep. If you're on keto, you're probably going to be eating
sweet potato squash.
Yep. Coconut water. I mean, that could be a good one, but
post-workout, it's great.
Just make sure they're not adding sugar to it. Some brands add sugar. So just look out for that.
Yes. I think we hit it all up. I would just say, everyone, if you're enjoying this, give me a thumbs up, give me a share, go sign up over at the Thyroid Reset Summit. And if you've already done that, give us a share and let your friends and family know. Lots of free, awesome information. If you enjoy it and you want to take the next step with Evan or myself, Evan already gave you our contact info, and we appreciate you guys chiming in. Any last thoughts here, Evan?
I don't think so. Just if you guys are out and about sweating your butt off in the summertime, which hopefully you're outside and getting sunshine, just keep up with this stuff. It makes a huge difference. And when I come back in, from doing yard work, I take my electrolytes, I take my adrenal support, and that keeps me strong and keeps me stable versus me passing out and my wife having to come rescue me. So
love it. Excellent podcast today. I mean, this is very timely based on the time of year that we're in. So appreciate it. Evan, phenomenal chatting, and we'll chat real soon.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to beyondwellnessradio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.